Well, let's go ahead and get started. This is Brian Leonard, guys, here. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. And congratulations for joining us and learning from the experts in the industry, and for growing your business and for helping your customers grow their business. This is a virtual event called Lead Through Technology. And we are really, really excited. Let me get my camera going. There we go. We are really, really excited to have you on, where we're learning from what the best of the best right now that are out there in the industry are doing with their customers with this new world that we're living in. So what are the best of the best doing? What are our channel managers seeing? What are our solutions engineers seeing right now? We're bundling that up and presenting that out here to our community. So this is a virtual event. There are 3 webinars. This is the third of 3. If you missed our first 2, we're going to be sending those out in an email later this week. So those will be on video. One of them was on SaaS. So specifically how to take the SaaS bundles, the products that your customers need right now for them to go virtual and to go remote. What are those products? How can you put them in a nice, neat little package and present them out to your customers? That was number 1. Then there are some customers who just want to get started right now, immediately. They want to rapidly get started on Microsoft or Google or one of those platforms. What can you do to get them started right away? This one is on the connectivity side. So can you sell your customers bandwidth now? There's a mobility play. There are a number of plays right now that are skyrocketing. What are the best of the best out there doing right now with the connectivity side? We have multiple speakers here today. It's going to be it's going to be very interactive, so it's not going to be a death by PowerPoint. There's going to be a place for questions, where you can ask questions. We'll answer those questions. And if you just want to make comments to the group, there's a chat functionality here as well, and you can use that. So we're going to have about half an hour of presentation, close to 14 or 15 minutes of questions and answers. So hopefully we'll get you out of here in about 45 minutes. So with no further ado, we have 4 speakers today. One of them is our Vice President of Sales and Operations, one of my mentors, a brilliant man on the sales side. His name is Mr. Tim Vasa. He'll be talking. Then our new Senior Director of Sales here at AppSmart, Mr. Brian Babich, is going to be leading the conversation. We have our Mobility Manager, Mr. Tim Wu, who knows everything about mobility, which is a big play right now. And our smart guy, the sales engineer, Mr. George Albia, is going to be joining us as well. So with no further ado, I'll hand it off to you, Brian Babich.
Thank you, Brian. Hope everyone's having a good day. It's interesting working from home. I won't spend too much time, but I have 4 kids and a wife that we're sharing a wall right now as she's on webinars. I've had hoverboards above me today. It's garbage day. I've seen the dog running back and forth. So as you manage all that, here we are. So I want to just thank you for your partnership. Thank you for joining today, whether you're a seasoned partner of AppSmart or you're just checking us out for the first time or hearing what we have to say to help you. We greatly appreciate your time today. And we will get through it as fast and effective as possible. And, today on the agenda, we're going to be covering creating conversations to help your clients thrive, how and why these 7 technologies that we're going to go over matter, how to position them, and some qualifying questions, and a bunch of other scenarios in between. So as Brian said, we're going to do it interactive. I'm going to be really just interviewing a few different people here as we go through. So let's get started. So what we know and why we're here, we're all at home mostly at this point, 84 million of us, which is unprecedented, as you know. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that. Everyone understands the magnitude of that. But here we are with this remote workforce where this will become more acceptable, and I think times have changed. So, we know working in the industry that some companies really have taken the approach of walk, or crawl, walk, and run, and now some of them are being forced to really advance right to sprinting. So that's why we're all here today, so we can help them in that journey. what's happened recently, again, everyone's aware of what's happened and families are being effective. So we want to focus in on really what we can do. But those those two bullets, the blue and the black on the far right of the screen, it's really an opportunity, for us to step up in this situation as a channel and help out. There's a lot of businesses that your help, your why, your cause to be able to go out there, you can literally be in a position to help a company get through this and thrive. So that's pretty exciting that we're positioned where we're at to go out and help people through this crisis. In the future, you've seen, I'm sure, the surge, flattened surge, and ongoing. We don't know exactly how long this will be, whether it's 18 months, whether it'll clear up and then happen again. But things are forever changed. This is not a temporary thing. I believe that working from home and using these technologies will really be part of our permanent society now. So we're going to talk more about that as well. What's your customer thinking? They're thinking a lot of things. I want to actually pull George in here right away. So George, who better to talk to what they're thinking? You're having conversations with partners and end users. What are they thinking? And I want you to address one thing in particular too. Some of them, they know they have to go out and invest in some technology right now. How can we as a community help them with that financial risk?
Sure. Thanks, Brian. So it's a being able to speak with all of you today and to meet with you all around the country. These are unprecedented times, and we're getting calls for a number of problems that people are seeing. They're worried and concerned about communicating effectively with their clients and with each other. They're also worried a lot about productivity, and I know that we went over that with our SaaS presentation earlier, but there's other issues too, just with networks and VPNs being overtaxed. Certain people's bandwidths doesn't work very well at their homes. So, how are we going to address these issues going forward, Brian? So I think we're seeing a plethora of issues popping up, but I think we can bring some help to and bring some sanity to them.
So what about on the financial side? What are some things that we can do and some of the suppliers we're working with to help mitigate some of that financial risk?
So, it's very fluid right now. In fact, I've been on the phone with some of our providers the last 2 days, up until about a half hour before this presentation even. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about the VPN issue, but just now Akamai is coming up with proof of concepts. Zscaler's coming up with, 3 months free trial, and then maybe just contract for 3 months. And so they're adjusting their contracts, they're adjusting their agreements to meet the demand and the problems that are going out there. Collaboration tools. So we're seeing, Vonage coming up with a 3-month free for medical. They actually have a free link that I can share with people where we can use it with our families. So if people just need to communicate with each other with video conferencing, if you have a loved one that's in the hospital and you want to reach out to them on their iPad, you can do that now. We have a link that I was told I can share with anybody, and it's very easy to use. So, our providers are stepping up to help.
Yeah, they are, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the presentation on month-to-month offerings. Some technologies that even prior to this have month-to-month contracts. So there's ways that we can help guide them to get to the solution that they need right now to keep their business running.
Yep, correct.
So top 5 most affected industries. You guys can read what those industries are, and they're not surprising with what's going on. I mean, all industries really, if they're not essential, are being affected right now. In many states, that's the way it is right now. If you're a non-essential service, you're not open for business. But you can see there, especially think about leisure and hospitality. I just watched an interview with the CEO of Marriott talking about single-digit occupancy, shutting hotels down. Think about, I had a spring break planned with my seniors, so everyone's vacating their vacations. They're canceling. So there's a lot of that going on. We'll have to see how long it lasts. So we're going to go to the next slide and talk about some of the actual industries and verticals that can be economic winners. I'm going to bring Tim Bassa in. Tim, we were talking the other day about the dot-com bubble, 08, 09. How do you see this time we're in right now looking similar to those seasons, as well as where do you think it's different, and who do you think the economic winners will be here in 2020?
Yeah, it's weird to talk about winners and losers, so I'm just going to talk about trends, right? So certainly in the .com era, we saw a lot of opportunity. There was chaos and confusion. In 08 and 09, we saw a very similar circumstance where there was confusion and unrest. And we saw a big impact in the financial sector and real estate, but we also saw a lot of backfill. So as quick serve restaurants started to dot our landscape and more niche retailers opened up chains, we saw a lot of our sales partners out across the country really attach their wagon to those verticals. So where they saw some downturn, maybe with some real estate firms they worked with, or financial services, or gas and oil, they saw tremendous uptick with quick serve restaurants, with retail, with contact center, the beginnings of UCaaS. And I see this in a very similar way. There's certainly going to be a downturn. We know that for sure. But we also are seeing already, just in George's comments, we're keeping a very close eye on the sales desk and with our field channel managers. We're seeing an uptick with takeout, supermarket, anything that's a service-based industry where delivery can be handled, e-commerce with online retailers, healthcare. I know, George, you'll talk about this later, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but we've seen some very unique requests too. So industries that haven't traditionally been thought of as online businesses or having the need for streaming. Everyone knows that schools are all online right now, but you probably haven't thought about churches or other places where people congregate to get advice, support groups. So all of those, whether they're clubs or organizations, they're all going online like we are right now, and we have to be ready to help fulfill their needs.
Yeah, no, I sit on the board at my church, and we had a conference call last night because of the current situation. It's just unprecedented. So it's interesting times. Thanks, Tim. Moving to the next slide.
So Brian, I just wanted to add, so I got a, it's real fluid. Right before I jumped on, I had a partner call me and said that one of our providers is going to be probably getting an order for 1,000 LTE devices for a school in Rhode Island that they want to give out to their students. So the school, and so there you go. I mean, that's just something that off the cuff, there's budget. They're just getting it out there because I guess a lot of the students don't have internet access and they need to do something. So
it's interesting. Thanks for sharing, George.
Yep.
So starting conversations with your clients, we're going to have a couple of slides through the presentation, conversation starters, also some qualifying questions. We're not going to go through all of them, but you can see what they are. I encourage you as sales professionals, add these to your client profile forms. And one thing I want to point out is our team stands ready. If you're not aligned with someone on our team, we can walk you through these particular questions and how they really tie into the 7 technologies you're going to hear about today. But if you look at that, discussing the redundant connectivity, it's not just at the locations now. In some cases, for mission critical workers, it's at their homes. So there's a lot of starter questions that will rabbit trail into other areas on this list. So let's jump in. I'm going to bring George in, put George to work for a little bit here with me. Here are the 7 technologies that we're going to run through that'll help your clients in 2020 right now and beyond. So let's get those started. I believe the first one we're going to talk about is bandwidth VPN. So George, what are you seeing with this? What are you hearing? But also, if you look at that stat on the screen, it's expected to surge by over 150% by the end of this month, just in a few days of what's typical. So, what are you hearing and what are you experiencing out there with our partners?
Yeah, so our partners are telling us, and actually even personally too, if you know people that work in the IT space, their VPNs weren't built to handle a vast majority of the employees working remotely, right? So VPNs are typically handled for traveling people or someone that needs to get in overnight. So Big Ten University, for example, is struggling right now because they have, all their staff is working remote, and those VPNs were set up for the staff to maybe, check out something at night or get into the systems, and they would use it to get into the online learning that the students go to. They would actually authenticate into the cloud through the VPN, and now they don't have enough sessions available to do so, or tunnels, so they're scrambling to build that out to support the online initiatives that they have with their students. Government entities, I know for sure a large military government space here in Detroit is struggling. They've got every non-essential employee working remote that doesn't have to have, you know, security clearance, and their VPN is really set up for just traveling folks. So people that happen to go abroad, it's not set up to have 1,000, 1,500 workers access it all day long. So VPNs are being challenged right now. And so, but we have some ideas on how we can improve current VPN performance and how we can help the clients, your clients, migrate and possibly, you know, build a much more robust environment for their employees to access.
All right, so let's talk about some of those short-term and long-term on the next slide, those solutions, and then we'll get into our AppSmart insight at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, the short term, some of the obvious, if our VPN gear, the firewalls have enough tunnels to be able to support that, the employees at your client, and maybe we just need to upgrade bandwidth, that could be an easy fix. So that's something to definitely check us out. You know, hit up your PA, you know, give us a call or go online and hit us up. We'll be able to check for you to see what we can do, right? Remote workers, and my friend Tim, who's on, great guy out of California, really well versed in the mobility space, will be able to talk to us about hotspots that can help those remote workers who have poor coax or DSL performance, or they can't access it. Satellite might be something for those remote workers too, and we're going to touch base on that. That's the short term, right? Long term, I look at that as like 4 weeks, Brian, or more. You know, we're going to be in this, like you said, it might be changing forever how we operate. So longer term solutions, we should be looking at, okay, what carriers do you have that are supporting your headquarters and where your on-prem servers are, and how are you accessing your cloud infrastructure? We need to take a look at that. So are we going to look at software-defined networks now more than we did before, aggregating some bandwidth, improving bandwidth performance? So those are some areas in the long term we can look at. And Brian, we can help people out even with their on-prem. If they choose to maintain an on-prem VPN, well, we definitely have resources that can help them out. And Meraki is a great solution. I've got 2 to 3 different providers I could think of off the top of my head that we could go to help your clients out. And you know, they would be love to get into engagement with you and your client to work on helping to restructure what the VPN looks like. And then we got a really cool solution, which is really going to drive cloud initiatives, and that's VPN as a service, somewhat of a newer look into how we communicate. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides.
Got it. Thanks, George. What we do know is if this is short term and things go back to a new normal in some period of time here, whether that's 30 days, 60, 90, we don't know. But we know that businesses are not going to want to be caught off guard anymore. So it's going to be a whole, there's going to be a lot of very receptive companies that had to scramble right now. They're going to want to talk to our technology advisors, subject matter experts. So there's a lot of work to be done the rest of this year to get people not only through this, but then prepared for what might be a new normal if we're extra sensitive if things change in that direction now. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. VPN as a service, George, I want you to clarify. Some people out there there might be some confusion about traditional VPN opposed to VPN as a service. So if you could just walk through the differences quickly and what are the benefits? Sure.
So, you know, current, like what we know is VPN, or like I've read where some providers like to call it consumer VPN, is where the client has built, you know, his own VPN, usually using some common firewalls we've heard of before in the past. So it's typically a hub and spoke architecture where, you know, you've got the VPN at the core where your servers are, and then we have a client on our desk, on our laptop, and we can, you know, tunnel in and then get out to either our on-prem apps or out to where we might have some cloud infrastructure too, you know. So, but again, it's a hub and spoke. it's not very scalable at all. I mean, you're going to have to switch out gear and that to scale it. So it's a little clunky and very hard to maintain and manage for your clients. A lot of IT guys tend to wrap their arms around it because they like it. It gives them something to do. But I think once they see what's out there in the software world to help them with their VPNs, it'll definitely be a game changer for them.
For sure.
So we can help, though. If clients want to maintain that type of VPN, we've got the resources to help them, like I mentioned before.
So wouldn't you say that VPN as a service, I guess really the three takeaways from that are you get more support from the carrier, one would say. They help you, it scales faster, and it's more secure. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure. So VPN as a service is a cloud-based security. So it's built around where you've got data encryption and tunneling protocols. Something they call zero trust is implemented. We go to providers such as Akamai, Zscaler, CenturyLink's got their adaptive network-based security platform. All of these are deployable too within 3 to 5 business days. Although I was on the phone with an engineer just before the call just to verify some things, and he goes, "Yeah, but right now he goes, that's what we've been seeing in deployment, but obviously he said it's really, we're getting hit a lot with inquiries, but it's software based, so we don't have to worry about equipment and whatnot." So we're doing, it's great a way for us to help our clients so that they're not stuck in the hub and spoke. They can access their prem, and they can access the cloud like the Azure, AWS environments.
Hey, George, just real quick, you said you were on the phone with one of our solution providers. I know that they're actually experiencing a backlog a little bit. So from someone who doesn't have a hardened network environment, a lot of these small to medium-sized businesses, maybe they have 4 or 5 locations, or we were talking last night about a 16 location opportunity, very informal, but now they're looking at VPN as a service. What can they expect? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? I mean, there's a little surge going on. What are you seeing?
Yep. Well, so my friends from AT&T told me that, they support both Zscaler and Akamai, and they would ramp it up. The Zscaler professionals, the Akamai professionals are ready to rock and roll, and they're saying, why don't we just put it out to a week? Instead of 3 to 5 days, let's get a week engagement once we get, the contract moving. So I can tell you that they're only offering a 3-month minimum commit. And some of them are off proof of concept. So if the customer isn't pigeonholed, but they know they need help, but they're nervous, they can see it for a week and then move it on. So really, the key here, and I've got written all over my notes, is need client engagement with the providers. I've talked to 3 of them, and they all say, we want to talk to your partners and your partners' clients, and they've got the professionals to do it. We stand ready.
Thanks, George. So let's talk UCaaS and CCaaS. I think we're going to continue to see, and we've already heard some that have these technologies or these services, but they're not using them to their full potential. So they're reaching back out and they're adding different types of services on, whether that's auto attendant or their UC client for their, their home workers that are using their own devices. But let's focus in on what about the customers who are not deployed yet? They don't have these technologies and they're reaching out now saying, we need this technology. What type of timeframes involved to get them up to speed and to help their business out?
So if they don't have, so I just want to understand your question, right? So typically,
if they don't have it, what kind of time frame are they looking at? Do they have to find an alternative with what's going on today?
Yeah, so if they're coming off an old PBX is what you're saying, so, and they need to move and deploy, I mean, we can stand up a UCaaS within a week, right? So, and the key then will be the port. So porting takes usually within 30 days, but I can make phones ring pretty soon. So if we want to, so let's say we just need to the customer's like, all right, I just need to do something here. So we could stand it up and then put a port in. They'll get workable phone numbers. So within a week.
That's where that's where I wanted to go, George. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We can talk about deploying it over some period of time, but right now, if they need this technology we have the ability to, as George says, make phones ring, and which carriers we should go to in our portfolio to expedite something. So definitely reach out to us. So also in the previous slide, you don't have to go back to that, but on the AppSmart Insight, we're definitely seeing an uptick with UCaaS, companies that have that, but they're adding on, or the carryouts, or quick serve restaurants that are doing the carryouts, or have the need for auto attendant, for again, being able to put UC clients on their drivers. Also, we have some IoT providers that do a great job with carryout and takeout with some of that technology. Again, that might not be a now conversation with everything going on. Right now, it's probably just to maintain what they have or to make it better. But there's other applications that that we have that I think will come in subsequent conversations.
Well, Brian, just as simple as seeing the call log, missed calls, so people can call back right away. A lot of delivery is really busy. Again, we talk a lot to George about some of these cases that are coming in, but delivery calls are getting overwhelmed. So if they miss a call because they're taking an order from somebody else, just having the ability to look at the call log and call them back and saying, hey, you just called Romano's Pizza. Little things that maybe an unsophisticated business didn't do, or they didn't know if it was available, or it was too much because they just ran a simple business, is now something that's absolutely necessary for them to keep their finger on the pulse of their business. A little dashboard that shows them inbound, outbound calls, just really simple things that we all take for granted on this call. Don't think that your clients are taking that for granted. Bring it up to them. Give them a simple use case and see if they see the perspective and if they can use it in their business. Just create stories around these use cases, because people really need this technology now, and they just don't know what we know.
That's right. And going back to that,
have a lot of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say that IoT example I used. We have a provider that can actually put a camera in the curb or the sign for the carryout that actually can see the car that pulls up. That's sent right to the device of the folks working the counter. They can see that it's a white Ford Focus, for example. They know which ticket that is, and it just expedites and makes it more efficient. So there's some unique applications there. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to say, and Tim, we you know this well. We have a lot of experience with pizza and fast food, and so we stand ready to give advice. And we've got carriers that have bundles built around that. So, whatever we can do.
Cool. In the essence of time, we're going to start moving quickly here. Let's talk a little SD-WAN, George. Maybe just a quick 30-second definition, and then any examples of where you see SD-WAN being deployed immediately to meet some needs out there.
Sure. So, SD-WAN, briefly, most of us know what it is, but we're able to aggregate bandwidth, right, with a couple of different carriers coming in. So it also provides an always on. So if we have, one of the carriers maybe is having issues, the smart device, it's a software device that goes down, is able to tell what paths are the best. So we're able to manage through the SD-WAN software the best routes for our clients' applications going over the network. And it gives the client an opportunity to manage their applications too. So I want to address single site too. So that's more of a software-defined network. There's a lot of single site businesses. But they want to have, they're going to need more bandwidth. And so how do we manage that? And so it's not SD-WAN, but it's just software-defined device. So a company like Big Leaf is a simple lay down, bring in multiple providers, and it sits in front of the firewall. It doesn't mess with the security, and it allows the customer to be able to manage bandwidth and to be able to aggregate the bandwidth.
Got it. Thanks. And I can see there it can be implemented in 2 to 4 weeks with some caveats, but it can be a pretty quick deployment. Got it. All right, let's talk satellite. Moving on to the next one. So talk a little bit about where this plays right now for satellite. There's some employees that are normally working in an office environment. They're at home now in a rural area. How can this come into play now, whether it's for their primary, it could be for a myriad of reasons. So share with us what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, for sure. So, and we could use it even to help out businesses that need to aggregate bandwidth for some reason. They might have a plant somewhere in an odd area and they can't get a lot of different, we've got, I know a bank that can't get fiber and they're sitting there bonded T1s, and what if those T's drop? They're out of business. So,
Right.
So satellite definitely helps, and it can be connected to the SD-WAN device like any other, bandwidth technology that you're bringing. We've got multiple providers that we can use to access it, and and for the home user, it's not super expensive, and we can get it installed within 3 to 5 days upon the receipt of an order. So, if we have issues with other services, we definitely can bring satellite into play too.
Right, and some of them are on a month-to-month. So you have something there that can be deployed in 3 to 5 days of receiving an order with month-to-month. That's a huge advantage under the current times for someone to solve a problem.
For sure.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the next slide here, which is collaboration tools. George, if you want to talk about what G2 categories are first, and then what surges we're seeing in those different categories, from audio conferencing to telemedicine, etc.
So there was a recent press release, and so we're proud to announce that we have a partnership with G2.com. And G2.com provides verified reviews on software to help businesses make educated decisions on their purchases. So they have 3 million users per month going in, and I believe they have over 1 million verified reviews on software. So we're able to offer that for our partners so that you can help your clients make good decisions on software purchases and what you're doing out there in the SaaS world. So, I saw the analogy that there's more critique on a $100 room at a hotel than there was on a $100,000 purchase of software, and that's actually off of G2.com's website, right? So they're going, look, we've got this platform now of you can go out and check out what are people saying about the software and the usability of it. So they provided us just some stats. Okay, what's going on in the collaboration tool world? And as you probably could tell and know that, and this is prior to us coping with this virus that we got floating around, video conferencing is up big, telemedicine, audio conferencing. I mean, those are the things that we saw. Collaborative whiteboard, for example. If you ever get on a call with CBTS and their head engineer, Matt, he's always drawing on his collaborative whiteboard what his solution is, which is pretty cool. It helps us all see what are they talking about. And so, those are the top areas we see in collaboration.
So let's talk about the actual providers on the next slide.
Yep. So all of these we know are at top of mind right now. And if you attended the event just prior to our call, they went through, the Google platform is great. Microsoft has a great platform. The one we're on, PGI, RingCentral, Vonage, Zoom, we have access to all of them. And they're all offering some help too. I mentioned earlier, our friends at Vonage, they have a free for 3 months. I literally have the link. I was given it to me by our channel manager. And so I've been communicating with distant relatives with it, and I can forward it to anybody. And it's easy to use. It's a simple collaborative tool so that we can have video calls with our loved ones, but you can do it also with your businesses too. So we're seeing a huge increase in activity. I have a couple examples. It's kind of crazy. So I got a phone call for a remote hospital right away. We need 200 seats for video conferencing. They want to be able to communicate, the nurses communicate with the patients and when they go home. So there are reasons why the telemed, you get a phone call from your doctor now. Hey, we got to go over your stuff so I can renew your meds. Those are things that are coming up, and we're going to be in this world for a while. A property management company was asking for 300 seats just the other day for video conferencing for internal and external meetings. And the one that Tim brought up, we have a large funeral home cemetery company that is migrating off of very aging, key systems. They don't really have, all the sites are totally being revamped with Meraki's and a UCAS platform. And that was part of the sale. Then all of a sudden, the last minute, they made a phone call and said, we need 1,000 seats of video conferencing because we're going to start doing remote funerals. Well, it happened, right? So like my mom's friend passed the other day. We can't go. I can't bring my mom there. It would have been nice if they did have that so she could pay her respects. That's what's going on in the world. And, so it's unique, but yet we're here. We stand ready to help.
Yeah. Thanks, George. One thing you said is you mentioned the previous webinar. So in case you're just coming into this one, all of these are going to be available on replay. So we'll be able to get those to you. So thanks, George. We're going to give George a break for a couple of minutes, and we're going to go over to Tim. Tim, you out there? All right, I see you. How you doing?
Hey, good. Very exciting stuff today.
Good. Well, let's talk a little fixed wireless. And why now, as it says there on the screen.
Wireless, I mean, a lot of times, word wireless comes up and we're used to thinking about cellular. But when you look for an alternative to fiber and cable, fixed wireless is where you're going to get the high bandwidth. You can get up to a gig, low latency, when you get the server you're relying on, and your traditional cable, those plus the SLA, right? That's kind of where you would fixed wireless. Coverage isn't like cellular, so it's not everywhere you go. In those major areas, there are multiple providers, which you see 5 of them on the left side, that can provide a type of service. Install time usually between 1 to 4 weeks, depending on the bandwidth. Right, if you're looking for 200 meg circuit, to make it longer because it's microwave from SCC. Stuff that's really a week, like 10 meg circuits, some quick stuff like that. Pretty easy. Move access, of course, they require really, really great solution to high quality with low latency to those office buildings, right? That and also like a diverse path for true disaster is really where you want to look at instead of another wire on the ground.
Got it. Thank you. Let's move on to. Go ahead.
Hey, just real quick, guys. Are you on wireless now, Tim, or are you on your cellular with the voice? I'm curious.
Now it's on is cellular with the voice. Is it coming?
Got you. Because you're breaking up a little bit here. I didn't know if there's another way that we could have you log in where you're a little bit more clear.
Yeah, I can try it.
We'll try coming in on a different line. Yeah. All right, Brian.
Yeah. So we'll move on. Tim's got some things to say he wants about this. So yeah, it is better.
Yeah.
So Tim, with mobility with LTE,
you guys are hearing me fine now?
You're better. Yeah, doing good. Can you address the remote workforce right now, but also where this plays in when things get back to normal at the location level?
Okay, so I kind of missed you a little bit there, but basically I think what you're asking, what happens is we got this immediate need for bandwidth for remote workers, right? So there's a immediate need, like overnight, for people who didn't have really good quality home internet service or none at all. So there's a flood to get those people access, right? What'll happen is once it's done, depending on how the industry's changed, right? A lot of these employees may have gotten used to working remotely. This could be like a trial, right? Can these workers, people work remotely? If they can, maybe the office is going to downsize physical space and allow more people to work remotely. It's kind of like a trial. So some of these devices that are out there, they may actually stay out there instead of going back into a big pool. They may stay out there and encourage employees to work remotely, because you look at the overall cost, what it has, what it costs to keep an employee working. Maybe that workspace and office building, that physical space, can be reduced, and we can replace it by a lot of the other technology we've been talking about today, including this mobility product here. So real quick on the slide, and I missed a few things you were saying, Brian, but there's quick turnaround time. Normally, right now we're in a little crunch on devices because the schools have taken a lot of them. Right, for what, like George was talking about, students need the devices to continue on education. But typically you got a $15 start cost. The 4G router, which we've got here at the bottom, right? It's a Ethernet handoff, so if somebody needs that to provide, access into their own, into a switch, right? Then they have a hard phone, they're not using an app, they're using a Polycom, something like that, link. Then they would just go with a 4G router. And then, that can still be used for failover in the case that, they're working remotely regularly, right? They have their DSL and that seems to be fine, but what happens if we're on a call like this and that DSL will drop off? The built-in failover on a router will pick it right back up so they can stay talking. And we got a couple bundles, right? 2 gigs on a 1-year term for $50 includes the router and the service plan. So not that expensive, but definitely something that people can get.
Got it. Let's talk a little bit about mobility, MDM, mobility device management. And I skipped. Sorry, you got to talk about the plans. Hold that thought. Go ahead with the plans.
Yeah. So we're going to run into some situation, right? So you put remote workers, right? They don't have a quality computer at home. Maybe their computer's running Windows, Windows Vista or something like that. But you need them to be able to get access, right? And some of the applications won't work, right? Stuff's been expired. So what we're looking to do now is we can take a Sprint iPad, right? We can bundle it up with a keyboard, VMware Workforce One Express to secure it. Now that employee has a device that is, has a current operating system, all the applications for all of the soft products that we have, VPN products, hosted voice, everything, Office products, Google Suite, everything can run on that. And there's a keyboard, so they can still stay, fairly, engaged, right, without having to worry about trying to install stuff, right? Because what's happening is you may look at, trying to remotely install software on a computer that's outdated. Everybody's home computer may not be able to install a VPN. So this is bringing everybody up to a level where here's a product with a baseline of technology that you can have everything run off of. So there's not going to be any downtime trying to get that person up and running. It's going to reduce the, they're already stressed IT resources who are trying to support people remotely already. They can start with a baseline. And you can look here, it's $36.87 a month with an unlimited data plan on one of the specials. Right? So you really can't go wrong with that, but it really can get people up and running right away.
So Tim, real quick, I know we had a call earlier this week about there's a run on hotspots. There's a shortage, they're hard to get. This has been very popular with our advisors around the country. Are there iPads available? This is available. How long does it take to get deployed? I think we should offer some specifics on this because it is so popular for many of the reasons you just mentioned. What's the lead time?
Yeah, so lead time. So iPads they're not really out of stock, right? The hotspot had to run on hotspots because they were free or $50, right?
Yeah.
And those were, but this stuff, iPads, they're in stock. So we could, through the multiple carriers that we have access to, all the major carriers, Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, we could get things like this. This particular one with Sprint, they do have pretty good inventory, so we could go this route. But turnaround time is honestly could be 2 days, 2 to 3 days. It can really get off the ground really fast.
So with the orders we're placing now, you're seeing that they're being fulfilled normal course of business, no delay.
Yeah, normal course of business. There could be maybe a day or two more just based on UPS, right, FedEx, but for the most part, the processing time at the carrier is still pretty good.
It's great. It's an amazing package. It's really helping people out too.
Yeah, so next, going back to that mobile device management, Tim, how does it play with so many people working from home with their own devices? How does this play into helping them with security and compliance?
Yeah, so, everybody knows one of these mobile devices is an endpoint, right? So it's an opening into the corporate environment and things that are on your home computer, on your personal device. A lot of smart people out there in the underworld who are trying to take advantage of, things like this. So mobile device management gives, secure control over devices, right? It can close doors. So all the keys that were normally, available to open doors, they can lock them all and only open the doors that they want to have open. Right? So for compliance, right? Very important. Security, very important. And then we got the insight on the left side. According to Entrepreneur Magazine, 90% of employee passwords can be hacked in six hours, right? 69% use the same password, right? So if you think about everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4, their birth date, 4 zeros, stuff like that is very easily guessed. So having a device out there, even though maybe there's a passcode lock, once they can get in, they can access all the information. So an MDM is going to allow the company to acquire a specific type of security on the password, 6 digits, no repeating numbers, stuff like that. And then if something happens to get lost, instead of leaving it out there where somebody can try to hack into it, they can just wipe the device. So the next time the device turns on, it'll erase itself. It's a really good way to keep that device knowing that it's secure. Right? And then there's a couple other things too, that some MDMs have what's called a secure container. So instead of allowing the employee to use the application or certain appliances in the browser, there's a separate folder that has all the applications in there. And when you use those, they only work within that folder. So you can't do a screenshot, you can't copy and save a file from that into your personal phone. So it's in a secure container. So if that employee leaves or something happens, you can just suck the container right off. He's in there. So there's no way to complete them between the personal device and the work device out of that folder. A lot of different things within MDM. It keeps the devices very secure. We have got some great partnerships. VMware, IBM Mass 360, Microsoft Intune, 3 of the leading MDM companies in the Gartner software. We can do all of those through us.
Tim, I want to touch on one thing because it's, again, I'm really just trying to bring up things that are coming up real time. And one of the things that came up is plan management. So using VMOX is one of the providers in our portfolio. One of the things that came up recently in the past 2 weeks is businesses, especially that have 500, 1,000, 10,000 units, they normalize their plans based on an old baseline of usage. And now they're going to see an unbelievable spike in usage on both minutes and data. Someone who's a low level user is going to be mid-level, mid-level is going to be off the charts. How can someone like VMOX help our sales partners out there and their clients?
Yeah, and what they do is they can optimize the build during the same cycle. So all the plans start today, they have a total of 100 gigabytes, but they can see the trend so that as they start to move through the month, it looks like they're going to project to use 150 gigabytes. So they can adjust the plans in real time so that by the time they hit the end of the month, you're not paying overage, you're just paying for the 150 gigabytes you use. Right? And then they do that the reverse way too. So the next month starting to turn the opposite way. Now you're back down to 140, 130. It's a real-time optimization of the customer's adjusting the plan prior to the cycle ending. So it really gives that company the feeling that I can use more, I can use less, but I'm only going to pay the lowest possible price for it.
Yeah, keep an eye on the time, but just a special point, I think it's noteworthy for those of you who have clients with 250 or more mobile devices, iPads, iPhones, Androids, whatever the case may be. VMOX is a great solution to help manage and control costs, especially right now. What you don't want to have happen is just giant bills start cascading in over the next couple months. Let's get control of them now, be of service to your client. Sorry, Brian, I know I hijacked a couple minutes there.
No, it's good, but in the essence of time, we will speed through a few of these slides so we can save some time for questions, hopefully. All right, so these are the core tenets. Those are the 7 services, products that we just spoke about. Again, you guys will have all of this in the presentation, so we're just going to keep moving here. The next is qualifying question. Again, same thing I said is just take a look at these. They will lead down rabbit trails to help design different solutions for your clients. And we have George, we have others, we have a lot of subject matter experts. Our team stands ready, again, to strategize, to talk about vertical specific applications, to align you with the right carriers that do a great job in some of those verticals or these technologies. So again, we'll talk about how you can get a hold of us in a few minutes. Next, we're going to talk about the AppSmart story, and I'm going to ask Tim Bassa, who shares it so well, to really just talk about where's AppSmart today, how are we positioned, how can we help the partner community go out there and grow their business?
Yeah, Brian, I'll keep it really simple. We have the largest portfolio of any master agency in the world, really, for software, connectivity, network services, any category of what we call essential business services. We're really engineered to power the modern technology advisor. Those of you on the phone, we have a proud history over 30 years of working with sales partners just like you and provider partners throughout the country. And like Brian said and George both said, we stand ready to help you serve your customers now. We want to meet you where you are today, meet your clients where they are today and help them grow where they want to go. Sometimes, because we're in this industry, we have a tendency to make things overly complex because we're insiders. We know the technology forward and backward. We have to really gump things down, make it doggy, piggy, bunny when we're talking to our clients. Meet them where they are today with an immediate need, solve a problem, get them a quick result, and then help them develop and grow technology where they need to grow. Maybe they're super sophisticated and they need something more advanced right now. Again, we have a full team of engineers and architects that can help architect a more advanced solution. But my gut is right now, they just need simple solutions, and you have to wade through all the available choices. This is what we do every day. The folks on the phone today and on video, and those around the country at I would say at our locations, but they're all working from home. At home in their home offices, we're set up to work in the cloud to help you sort through the clutter, pinpoint the exact solution, or narrow down the choices to be specific to an application and help you solve problems, serve your clients. So again, we're here to help. We have experts ready to help, and we're going to send this presentation out with all the contact information to help you guys take the next steps.
Thank you, Tim. Speaking of contact information, on the next slide, it just talks about how you can get a hold of us if you're not connected to us today. You can see there to actually ask for a quote. You can do it at the marketplace.appsmart.com along with the second web address there. Also, what I encourage you to do is first of all, we obviously want to receive your quotes, but we want to talk to you. We want to build a relationship with you. So if you're not aligned with a team, if you don't have someone that you know is your AppSmart liaison, please give us a call at that partner support at you could log into partnersupport@appsmart.com, but call us at that 833 number, because we want to do just that. We want to make sure that we know who you are, we know what your business drivers are, what industries. We want to, again, make sure that you're aligned with the right team and be there for you and get the right logins and get this information at your fingertips, which is on the next slide. It talks about really step one is connecting with that channel manager, and that happens through you either knowing already or, again, connecting with us, and then we'll align you with them, and then they can help you get copies of the bundle selling guides, get you into the learning campus, get you equipped with everyone that we have as a provider, a lot of our education, some of those things that you might be up to speed. Maybe you're not up to speed on SaaS applications. We have all that available. So we're there to educate you, again, get you aligned with subject matter experts to help you out. And then, of course, that parlays into you being equipped and ready to go out there and talk to end users and your customers, whether that's brand new customer acquisition or going back to your existing base saying, 4 years ago, I worked with you on this project, but today I have a whole portfolio of SaaS products that I can help you with at AppSmart. Can be your liaison for on that. So I believe the next slide this is actually Keeping Americans Connected Pledge. If you haven't heard about this, it's pretty cool. The FCC put this out, and as you can see there on the screen, it just talks to not terminating any service for residential or the SMB market for their inability to pay bills or late fees, and also that they would open up their Wi-Fi hotspots to any Americans who need them. So there's a list of our partners, our suppliers there that we know. There's probably more now, but you can go to that website and check out and see all the different carriers and suppliers that are a part of that. So you can also be that liaison for your end users if they're having financial trouble, to know who those carriers might be so you can be of service to them. And next, we're going to open it up for questions. I know we're short on time, so I'll turn that over to Brian Leonard.
Okay, great. I will actually hand it over to Tim Bassa, who has been collecting a lot of questions here on the back end. He's going to be better at choosing which ones are more relevant for this audience.
Yeah, sure. So I'll jump through these pretty quick, and we'll provide an FAQ after the call on any questions we don't answer. Someone asked, what industries are we focusing on for these solutions? George, Brian, Tim, I think let's just cover. This might have been someone who joined a little later, specifically regarding SD-WAN with a cellular backup. There's a couple different questions in here. So let's start with, what industries are we focused on, or what are the ones that continue to come up in our queues as we serve our sales advisors around the country?
So I'll jump in real quick. Healthcare has come up. whether it be that clinic-based or mini hospital or whatever it might be. Healthcare is big, doctor's offices. So that's been one that comes top of mind.
Yeah, so I think healthcare for sure. Any business that's had to make a switch to delivery. Also, anybody who teaches or where folks gather. So support groups, counseling. Think about family services, places of worship. They're all calling in and looking for advice. They're going online. They're trying to find ways to carry on their business, carry on supporting the communities they serve. So I would look to all of those industries. Obviously, you're going to see a slowdown in some areas, but really think outside the box. But I'll tell you this is maybe the most important part of this Q&A. I know we got a minute left. I'll just give you a best practice. I'm on calls every day with sales partners, with our provider partners. I'm just telling you all, call your customers. Don't just text them. Don't just email. Pick up the phone. Be persistent. Call them. Ask how they're doing. Ask what a challenge is. Offer your help. Don't be salesy. Just offer help. You have the solutions. You know what they are, but you have to call them. Right now, they're running Mach 5 with their hair on fire. They're trying to figure out how to navigate this, and you can be the calm in the storm. So there was one question around mobility and LTE. I think the best way to handle this, because it's pretty long, is if you have a question about mobility, LTE, or fixed wireless, reach out to the app support team. We have experts like Tim who are available to help with your specific situation. I think this question would take a few minutes to answer. Several of these are very detailed. George, there's one in here around SD-WAN. Look, reach out to us about SD-WAN. It's less complex than you think. This is a very specific question. We're over by a minute. So please reach out to us with any questions. We'll get you assigned the resources you need to tackle your biggest challenges for your clients and provide them with the service they need. Brian, I wish I could have answered those questions specifically, but we'll get back to everybody or reach out to us proactively. We're here. We're built for this type of situation. We're ready to help.
Yeah, and we're going to have someone who's going to answer these questions. If you posted a question, we are going to go through each one. We will answer it. And at the same time, there's a lot of questions on pricing, and there's a lot of questions on quoting and things like that. So please do reach out to your channel manager. We're going to send an email out right after this with all of the links. We have links in the marketplace. We have links to resources that you can provide. We're going to have these recordings are going to be recorded. We're going to send these out. It'll take us probably a day or two to process them, but we'll send them out by Friday so that you can review this content. If you have any team members or any sub agents that want to look at it, that'll be there for you too. We exist for one purpose, and that is to help your businesses grow, right? So we're 100% channel. We think about you guys, our technology advisors. We think about you every day when we wake up and every night when we go to bed. So we're here to support you, and we want to thank you for attending, and we will talk to you all very, very soon. So George, and Brian, and Tim, really appreciate it. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to everyone later.
It's our pleasure.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.